Hello again, YouTube world. It's your girl, Dana Monet, here again to recap your favorite reality singing competition shows, the farewell season of American Idol, season 15, and season 10 of The Voice. And this week, I'm going to change it up a little bit, and I'm going to start with, "This is The Voice." Boom, doom, doom, doom. Okay, so I just have to say, The Voice this season is completely slaying my life. Like, it is so good. The talent this season is so amazing. And I feel like every season that Christina is on there, the talent is always that much better. And this always my favorite seasons. And when there's so many great singers. This season, season 8 and season 5 were my favorite seasons of The Voice. And they all had Christina. So I have to get into, I'm going to be going a little bit out of order, but I have to start with that amazing duet between Christina Aguilera and Joe May, like on I Put a Spell on You. That was just the most epic thing ever. And even him just doing the audition, the blind audition by himself, I actually loved it. I would have turned around. His voice wasn't perfect, but it was powerful enough and he had enough potential for me to want to turn around. When he did the duet with Christina, it brought something else out of him, something more out of him, like the look in his eyes, and then Christina just serving it and give it to him. It was like, "I put a spell on you." And then she did a hey, 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 whatever. Y'all know what Christina does. I can't do it like Christina do, but y'all know how Christina get down. And I was watching that duet and I was like this. I was like Pharrell. I was like jumping up and down. I was like, yes! I sent out a tweet. Like, I was so hype. Like, I was ridiculously hyped for that duet. So, yeah. Whew, that put a spell on me. So, yeah. That was my week. Aside from that, there were some other really great performances. Now, I'm starting with night 4 because he was on the last night, and then I'm going to go backtrack to night 3. But I also loved Maya Smith, who sang "Do Right Woman, Do Right Man." And I absolutely love her voice. She actually kind of reminded me of Naja Nicole from last season and also Hometown Delaware Girl. I think that her voice is actually a little bit stronger, but like the look and like the whole delivery and the potential of it, I just loved her and I loved her voice. She hit some crazy high notes. So I'm here for her. I liked Owen Danoff. He sang "Don't Think Twice, It's All Right." He kind of reminded me of Sawyer, but he doesn't have a big voice, but I was enjoying the storytelling aspect. I also like Brittany Lawrence, who sang "Warrior," although I think she should have went to Team Christina, but maybe it's a good idea that she's on Team Blake. He doesn't have a lot of powerhouse singers, so maybe that'll work for her. I liked Matt Tedder singing "Hoochie Coochie Man." He's like, "'Cause I'm a hoochie coochie man." I was like, what is this song? But I loved it. And I did like Tamar Davis, "Chain of Fools." She wasn't like my favorite, but I think she was great. I do have a little bone to pick, though, with Tamar, who was originally in Girls Time back when Destiny's Child was Girls Time, with Beyonce and Kelly. I don't have any problems. Like, when she was in that group, she was like 11 or 12. So that's fine. But she's like within the last couple of years recently been singing backup for Prince, working with Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry was even there cheering her on, told her to audition for The Voice. It's like, girl, like, I know people have been on The Voice who have had previous success, recorded, sang backup for people, toured and all of that stuff. But she has like major connections. Like, Prince couldn't give you a deal. Like, Tyler Perry couldn't put you in one of his movies or put you on the soundtrack to one of his movies. Like, I don't understand why she actually needs The Voice, but whatever. She can sing, and I love her hair. So we got through with that. From night 3, my favorite, and based off of what was happening on the blogs, this wasn't necessarily a popular choice, but my favorite was Natalie Yakovazzi from night 3. I absolutely loved her singing Mr. Know-It-All. She just came right out like, "You ain't got the right to tell me when I got no right to tell me, acting like you know me lately." But it was actually a lot more it was a lot more rasp in that. And it was like so great. And I was like, yes, but only one chair turn? Like what? But at least she's on the show. She didn't make it last season. There's a lot of people who didn't make it last season, like Joe and as Natalie as well, that are just killing it. And I think that she's a dark horse and somebody to look out for. And I loved Malik Hurd singing Chains. Like, I absolutely love his voice. His runs are crazy. Like, his voice, it sounded like a track. It sounded like a recording. So he's amazing. Ryan Quinn, like, you just don't hear men belt that often. And he can belt. He can sing high. And his voice was, like, crystal clear. Loved him. Kristen Marie singing Mad World, her like jazzy runs in it. Like, I really like that rendition. I know a lot of people are like stuck inside of Adam Lambert's Mad World, but I think that Kristen Marie kind of gave him a run for his money on that song. I know everybody's gonna be like, no, how dare you blaspheme, but I think that she did a very good job with that song. And Hannah Houston singing Unaware by Alan Stone, who again, nobody was turning their chairs, and then 3 coaches turned their chairs at the very, very last second when she was hitting that amazing raspy note. And, you know, Blake the whole time was like, what's going on? Why aren't you turning around? Like, if you like her, Blake, turn around. Like, why are you waiting for Christina Aguilera to turn around just because she's an R&B singer? Like, if you like her, like, there's no reason why she shouldn't be on the show. So, but thankfully, she's on there and everything is all right in the world. And I just have to say that I'm thoroughly enjoying this season of The Voice. I don't think I've been this excited about this season of The Voice. And I will say this, with that little preview duet from Joe and Christina Aguilera, if Christina Aguilera doesn't have a contestant in the finals, which she will, like there's no way that's not going to happen, but she needs to have a contestant in the finals. We need to see Christina Aguilera do a duet with someone, because I was deprived of that last season because she was supposed to do a duet in the finale with Kimberly Nicole. How epic that would have been. And it didn't happen. So it needs to happen. Y'all better think about what you're trying to do to me, and make sure that at least one of Christina's contestants, if not all 3 of them, make it to the finale so we can get 3 amazing duets with Christina, because, you know, she slays. And Christina, where's the album? Where's the tour? Looking for it. So that's it for The Voice. And now moving right along. All right, now it is time to talk about American Idol. So I have a lot to discuss, so I'm going to try to pack it in as compact as possible. I did want to say something before I got into discussing the week. A lot of people, I read a lot of blogs, specifically TV Line, Michael Slezak's blog, and MJSBigblog.com. And a lot of people always comment about this person isn't marketable, like Laporsha isn't marketable, and like all of this type of stuff. Like, she's a great singer, but she's not going to sell records, just like Candace Glover, and like all of this mess. So I need to just address this off the top, because I'm so sick of people talking about who's commercial and who's marketable and who's not, or whatever. Let me just say this. As far as record sales are concerned, that is on the downslide, okay? Like, people aren't really buying records. People are streaming music for free, myself being one of them. Like, as a singer, I have heard people in the business tell me that, you know, record sales are just not existent. That's not how artists are making their money. They are making their money touring, doing shows, writing songs, you know, having endorsements and doing different endeavors. It can't even just be about singing. If your name is not Beyonce, Adele, Taylor Swift, or Rihanna, you are not selling records like that, because those women are still selling records. You're not going to win American Idol this season, and I don't care how amazing you are. I don't care if you're Kelly Clarkson's clone, and you're not going to have sales like Kelly Clarkson and Carrie Underwood did over 10 years ago. It's just not going to happen in this day and age in 2016. So I think that people need to get off of that. And if these contestants can come off the show and they can consistently tour and have shows, and they're writing their songs and they're heavily involved, like executive producing their albums and things like that, and they have different ventures going on and endorsements, they can make money and they can be relevant and they can be marketable. So I need people to stop with that. Okay, enough of that. So I'm going to go backwards, and I'm actually going to start with the bottom three this week. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about Lejeune. He's saying Let It Be. I actually did like his tone. The problem is, as I've been saying week after week after week, he just wasn't ready. And, you know, he was saying something about, I don't care if I'm sharp or whatever after the fact. And he was rambling on and on and on. Like, you should care. Like, you're not at Kelly Clarkson level where your voice is impeccable and you can have an emotional moment that captures everybody in the audience and you could fall off pitch and start crying. Like, that's different. Like, I don't know, but whatever. I gave him a C- for his performance and he was eliminated. And Scott kept on bringing up that he was sick, and I didn't appreciate that. Okay, so this was where it was sad. First of all, my dream Final Four is not happening because Avalon was eliminated. And I was heavily upset that both Sonica and Avalon was in the bottom three. And why Avalon was in the bottom three after that amazing performance of Earned It last week, I'll never know. I don't get why people aren't on the Avalon train. I have to say, with her singing PYT, I think that it was actually a really great song choice for her in theory, but I wasn't crazy about the execution. I actually really liked the arrangement. And I love PYT, but I agree with Harry in the sense that she needed to groove more. Like, she's such a laid back, like cool and chill. And she does have this swag, but I think I needed her to maybe like dance more. Like, maybe somebody needed to work on some choreography with her, like some consistent steps or whatever, so that she can really take a hold of the song and, you know, really vibe with the band and everything. And also, I think it was a little bit too low for her. I think she could have taken that a half step up, and she had a little bit of some pitch problems with that performance. But, you know, I wish that she could have stayed longer to show some differences in her voice. I saw some differences in the duet that she did, but it's unfortunate. I gave her a B- for that performance, but she absolutely shouldn't have been eliminated. Next was Sonica, I Have Nothing. And while I do agree, as much as I actually like Avalon more than Sonica, I have liked Sonica from the beginning. I don't dislike Sonica. I do think that she should have been saved. However, that I Have Nothing performance, it was not gut-wrenching like it should be with that song. If I'm going to hear that song for the 11 millionth time, you need to sing that song. I mean, her voice is very pretty, like on the verses, you know, it was very pretty, and she took a little bit of liberties with the melody, and her tone was gorgeous. But it's like, come on, like, I need to hear, I don't really need to look very much further. I don't want to have to go where you don't follow. I won't hold it back again. This passion inside, like this passion, like I needed to feel passion. And it was like, this passion inside, it was like more pretty instead of like forceful, and I needed to hear that oomph, and she can hit the notes, and I know that she's capable of it, but she's just not delivering in the way that I would want to. I almost am saying, like, I think that she needs to go away from the big diva bombastic ballads and do things more along the lines of like You're So Beautiful, or The Prayer, which is a song that Jessica Sanchez sang on her season, or like Say Something, or another song I heard on The Voice this season, So Far Away by Carole King. Like, I think her beautiful tone and her voice would lend itself well to songs like that, because she can take liberties with the melody, and then she can put in a nice glory note or two, and it could be like a moment, instead of us knowing these big bombastic songs and knowing that she has to go boom, 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 like, you know, and all of that. Like, I just, like, it's like, I believe she can do it, but she's like not doing it. So it's frustrating for me. And she's done it with the Evanescence song 2 weeks ago. So I don't really know what the disconnect is with her. It's like, you can sing. You are capable of doing this. So you need to do it if you don't want to go home. Thankfully, next week, only one person is getting eliminated. So she may be able to escape elimination barely, but I gave her a B. Next is Trent, and he's saying Stand By Me. And I have to actually say, in my personal opinion, Trent was the standout contestant this week across the board, in my opinion. I really, really liked his performance. I loved the a cappella intro. I loved like the groove of it and the arrangement. Like I really enjoyed it. I was listening to AfterBuzz TV, and I think that some of the people didn't like it on there. I don't agree with 75% of the stuff that they say on that show anyway, but I still watch it, unfortunately. But I like it, but it's like I hardly ever agree with them. But I loved Trent this week. I think that he's figuring out a way to mix in his little quirks and quirky things that he does with, you know, his amazing voice. And I heard some things in his tone that I hadn't heard before that were just amazing to me. And, you know, he did that little wow, 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 wow part or whatever it is that he did. And I laugh every time I hear it. It was goofy, maybe a little unnecessary, but it was cute. And, you know, I liked it. And I enjoyed his performance a lot. Okay, so the next person I'm going to talk about is Dalton, who's singing Eleanor Rigby. And, and I will say about Trent's performance, I gave him a B+, and I wasn't actually that excited about him singing Stand By Me, because I didn't know where he would be able to go, but he did a great job, and he's just seasoned, and he just knows what he's doing. So moving right along to Dalton, where I actually thought Eleanor Rigby would be a good choice for him, and I was less than impressed. And I felt like the judges were praising the performance because Scott like told them to. Like, I love the backdrop, the strings, and the arrangement. I kind of liked everything except for his vocal. Now, I did have to listen to this performance a couple of times to appreciate kind of the good things that he did with his vocal, because I did hear some things that came out in his voice that I hadn't heard before. He had like a little bit of rasp that was coming out, and he was pushing his voice. So I will give him that. And he was digging into the song. But he hit a lot of bum notes. He's been out of tune a lot the last couple of weeks. I mean, not as much as he was on the Do It. We'll get to that. But I don't know what's going on with Dalton. Like, I haven't liked one of his performances like that since he did, you know, Hey There, Delilah. And everything about that setup, the string, like everything, the whole backdrop, it was so epic. It was so dramatic. But vocally, he wasn't matching what the performance could have been. So I can't see why the judges couldn't have gave him a little bit of constructive criticism. Yes, I know they have the producers and Scott in their ear, but come on, you need to be honest with him, especially Harry, who's like the pitch police. Like, you need to let him know what it is. Just tell this man exactly what it is, what it is, what it is, what it is. Love breaking out in the song. It's like my favorite thing to do in these videos. So I actually, originally, I think I gave him a C-. Upon listening to it a third time, I actually gave him a B- because he was going for it and, you know, he was trying. So next was Mackenzie, You Are So Beautiful. He sang, and I actually enjoyed this performance from him. It was completely in his wheelhouse. It wasn't like he was taking a risk or anything like that. But I think that he kind of needed a performance like this to kind of get him back on track, because he was kind of falling off a little bit to me. And it was kind of slightly boring, but it was one of his better, vocal performances. His falsetto is kind of like non-existent. It just kind of like fades in the background. But I think he was actually, really trying to push his voice. And I think that it was, the soft and pretty singer-songwritery thing that he does. And I think that it worked. So I gave him a B for that performance. Next up was Tristan. Now, I do believe that she did deserve another week based off of her performance last week. I will give her that. This week she sang A Broken Wing. And I was like, okay, this is a great song choice for her. She's gonna kill it. But she did not rise to the occasion. Like, she's going for the notes, and I commend her for that. But every time she's going for these big notes, her pitch wavers, she falls off. Like, she's trying to do these runs and she can't hit them. Like, she's too ambitious for her own good. Like, she's not hitting these things, so she needs to stay more within here instead of trying to color outside the lines, because she doesn't have enough control over her voice to really be coloring outside the lines. Like, I think that she actually has a really nice tone to her voice, and with proper vocal training, I think that she could really be a force to be reckoned with. But right now, it just wasn't her time. And apparently Scott is like in love with her. And I mean, you know, I just don't get it. I think that Tristan needs to be going home. Like, absolutely. And then Laporsha. Oh, and I gave Tristan a C+. And then Laporsha sings Come Together. Now, I will say this. I saw a spoiler that she was supposed to be singing It's a Man's World, and I kind of wish that she sang that instead. But I will give her credit because I was loving the outfit. It was giving me like Black Panther, Beyonce formation at the Super Bowl, realness, like hot sauce in my bag swag kind of thing. So I was definitely feeling that. And I loved when she went up to Harry and she was like all up in his face. And she was like, she had no fear. And she was like, got to be good looking cause it's so hard to see. You know, and she did that whole part. I mean, her stage presence and attitude and sass is just amazing. Like, on top of her amazing voice, it's just great. I have to say that I kept on thinking about Candace Glover's version of that song because I really love her version of that song. But I loved Laporsha's performance of it. It wasn't my favorite performance that she's given, but I love her like moving around and grooving, and she knows how to perform. She knows how to put on a show. She can stand there and sing, and she can also move around and interact with the crowd and get everybody into it. I will say this. I don't know if she was like a little sick or anything like that, but I felt like she wasn't able to push her voice as she normally does. And she was it seemed like she was doing runs this time to like cover up some vocal imperfections, as opposed to when she normally does runs, it just kind of like flows out and kind of goes with the song. So I feel like Laporsha was actually kind of sick. And, you know, Scott kept on talking about Lijon being sick, but in any event, it wasn't mentioned. She ain't talk about it. She still killed it. You want to know why? Because she's seasoned and she's a professional, and even if she is sick or her voice isn't 100%, she still knows how to put on a great show. And that is an American Idol. Like, okay, like that's just what it is. I'm sorry. Okay, so we're gonna move on to these duets. All right, so we're gonna talk about these duets, and two were great, two were not so great. So I'm going to start with the not so great ones. Tristan and Lee singing I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. Of course, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing had to be sung on the show. It's like one of the ultimate, that one and I Have Nothing are like some of the ultimate overdone songs on American Idol. So yay, we crossed that off the list. It was interesting. Like, I will say this. I will say this. That it wasn't as much of a train wreck as I thought it was going to be. I think actually in the beginning, both of their voices and their tones sounded really good in the slow part in the beginning. But something happened when the beat dropped. And I think I heard like a piano like go out of tune or something like that. And it just wasn't really that great after that. But I did actually like the beginning. And, you know, as I said before, I appreciate Tristan going for the higher notes. And I actually think that this was one of Lee's best vocal performances because it was on a song that's completely out of his wheelhouse and he had to stretch his voice and I heard more of his tone. So I actually appreciated that. And some of their harmonies were actually pretty good. So it wasn't like after a couple of listens, it wasn't as much of a train wreck as I thought it was when I first watched it. But it still wasn't that great. I gave them a C+. Oh, and I gave Laporsha a B+. And then there was Mackenzie and Dalton. And I actually have to say this was my least favorite duet and my least favorite performance of the entire night. And it was crazy. They sang I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys. And I was so excited because I saw the song spoilers and I was like, oh, they're going to sing I Want It That Way. And I don't even like Dalton and Mackenzie like that. You know what I mean? Like I like Mackenzie a little bit more than Dalton, but I was still hyped that they was going to be singing this song because I just wanted to hear this song. And I completely agreed with the judges. Like, they just didn't rise to the occasion. They're both known for changing songs up and doing different arrangements. And they didn't even like really try to change it up. They didn't try to really work together or sing together. There wasn't hardly any harmonies. Dalton was completely out of tune. Like most of the song, I mean, Mackenzie sounded better, but it was just like, yo, this should have worked. Like, I don't know why this would have worked. And I absolutely despise this normally when contestants go and touch the hands of the audience and stuff like that. But this would be the song to do that. Like, everybody knows this song, like, ain't nothing but a heartache. Oh, I went like totally off key, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, everybody knows the song. It was like a great song to get crowd participation and, you know, I want it that way. And Harry was actually right about, you know, the song doesn't make any sense. The lyrics don't make any sense. Because I was thinking about the lyrics in my head when he asked him that question. I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what? The song really doesn't make any sense. You know, but I don't think that he should penalize them for that, because in the duets, like, they don't have any control over the song. And maybe they could have fought for a different song, but I think that in theory, this was a good idea. And I think that they liked the idea of doing the song. It just wasn't executed. I'm not sure if they really like practiced and rehearsed this song as much as some of the other duets. Like, they should have rehearsed it more. So that's how I feel about that. I gave them a C-. So moving on to the good duets. Sonica and Avalon singing Rise Up. I really love this song. I love Andra Day when she sang it on the Grammys. And I loved their voices on the song. I thought that they blended so beautifully. Just like J-Lo said, they were bringing stuff out of each other that, you know, they were making each other better. Like Avalon, her voice and her skills vocally were more showcased. And Sonica was, you know, feeling it more and doing different things with her voice. And, you know, Sonica was doing runs and Avalon was doing runs, and they were harmonizing beautifully. And I just really, really enjoyed it. Like, okay, yes, Avalon can do a ballad. It is possible. And the only thing is that, you know, like J-Lo said, I wanted more of a performance, like, because it is an inspirational song. I kind of wanted them to girl power it up, like, and hold hands, like, and we'll rise up. I don't know the rest of the words, but I just wanted them to like feel it more, and it to be like they needed to connect emotionally more to the song. But vocally, it was great. Like, I loved it, and I loved their voices together. It was really, really nice. I really enjoyed that duet. And then Trent and Laporsha did See You Again. And that was my favorite duet. And when I saw the song Spoilers, I saw them singing See You Again. Like, why would they pick a song that has like a lot of rapping in it? But of course, everybody these days, they cover hip hop songs, you know, rap songs, and they just sing it. So, you know, it's pretty common. But I really, really, really enjoyed it. Like, their harmonies just flowed like butter. Like, it was just effortless for them. It's like they didn't even need to try. Like, I loved Trent on this falsetto. Like, I think this is where Trent shined within the entire show. Like, this was my favorite performance. And I think that he shined actually over Laporsha, which is, you know, a big feat in of itself, you know, to be able to do that. And I love that he was singing the higher harmony and she was singing the lower harmony. And I just really, really loved it. It was great. Like, you got to hear the lower parts of Laporsha's voice and the higher parts of his voice and his falsetto. Like, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So there were some train wrecks with the duets, but there were some great moments. So I gave them an A-. So I was really happy about that. I don't know if next week they're going to do a bottom 3 or a bottom 2. What I do know is that only one person is going home. So that's great to hear. And it should be Tristan. And I think it will be Tristan. I don't know if they're doing the save me thing or if they're going to go completely off of the votes and the judges will have nothing to do with it. Hopefully the judges don't have anything to do with it, especially if, you know, Scott is involved. I'm a little bit worried for Sonica and slightly for Laporsha. But if she was in any predicament like that, I think she would, be saved or whatever. But if I was going to pick the bottom three, like if it was up to me, the bottom three would be Mackenzie, Dalton, and Tristan would go home. That would be my personal choice. But I'm a little bit nervous for Sonica. But I think that Tristan has overstayed her welcome, and it's time for her to go at this point. Also, in other news, Nick Fradiani, season 14 American Idol winner, performed his new song, Get You Home. And I have to say, I actually like the song. I didn't actually think that this was his style, but I did like the song. I didn't like him singing it, though. He was out of tune a lot of the song, and I don't recall him ever singing falsetto when he was on the show, and the whole chorus is like in falsetto. Like, who told him to do that? And, of course, the background singers were helping him with that, but I was just like, why is he singing falsetto? Like, this is what beat Clark and Jax and Rayvon and Serena Joy Crow. Yeah, I'm taking it all the way back to Serena Joy Crow, okay? Because I was like, Nick is a nice guy. I've seen the interview that he did with Michael Slezak on TVLine.com. He's very intelligent. He knows what he's talking about. He has a great attitude. He's cute. But his singing is just, it's all right. But I did like the song, so I will give him credit for that. So that's it. So until next week, I will see you, and I'll be back to recap The Voice and Idol for you. So bye.